What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. Now, while this is a fashion video, and maybe we'll do more of these, we're also going to be talking a bit, both for fun and also because, as an aspiring fashion MF, I'm finding fashion to be a lot like tarot. In the sense, your philosophy behind doing what you do is almost always more important than the execution. Because your soul is what creates a good fit, the same way your soul is what creates a good reading. To achieve choice external results, you need to invest in Inland Empire. And for that reason, let's start by talking some shit and getting into the mindset that has produced what I'm calling bootlegger fashion. We are at present willarding out. I mentioned a speaking book last time. That's called, or the book I bought is called Conversationally Speaking. And the goal in buying this book was to upgrade my social skills. Or at least begin to think about socializing in more of a game-like way. Because the chipset I've been using for socialization since probably late high school is a mixture of How to Win Friends and Influence People and The Like Switch. I've recommended those books tons of times, still recommend them. And those are good because they build up a solid foundation. I think those two books are the only reason I'm good at one-on-ones and am where I am and have been able to function in the position I'm in professionally. But they don't game it. The like switch is a little bit closer to gaming it, but that's still more of a foundational thing. You read that and you learn how to create the vibe in which the socialization you want can take place. And How to Win Friends and Influence People is the same thing, but also a little bit of a moral compass. It's a very sweet book. And the other one, I think it's How to Stop Worrying or something. That's another very good, very sweet book. Conversationally Speaking is a lot more gamey. And I was reading it today, not picked it up today, but started reading it for the first time today. And all I could think was two things. One, I don't know if INFJs are born with this or if this is something they learn or choose to learn. Maybe the path is highlighted for them naturally and they can choose to walk it. But everything in this book, this game-like form of communication, INFJs, all the ones I've known, seem to know how to do all this shit naturally. And that's depressing. The consolation is you can learn a less intuitive form of it, probably especially if you're an FE type, but damn shit, some people are just born with this ability. And the second thing is I'm reading this book, and that woman I was speaking with, it's like a play-by-play. And some of the tactics she used I was already aware of, but damn if it's not word for word. And it worked. Now, I still have a positive idea of her in my head. It's not even I'm choosing, I am choosing to take a positive view, but instinctively it feels like the more positive view is the one to stick with. But again, damn, it makes me think about people, INFJs especially. One of the troubling aspects of dealing with INFJs is how manipulative they are. But That on its face wouldn't be a problem. The problem is, I don't think they do it intentionally. And you know that because if you're an FE type, and if you're a TE type too, because I know TE types do their version of this, you do manipulative shit naturally because it seems like the thing you should be doing, it's what you get rewarded for, but they do it at such a high level with such a sophistication, it feels unnatural. And that brings authenticity and motivation into the question because you're getting emotionally affected by what they do naturally and non maliciously. I'm just fucked up today. I bought some pizza and I ate it, and it devastated my gut. I'm thinking about my childhood, what I am, where I'm going, why certain pieces of clothing, when combined, look awful, and then you add one or two small things, and then the entire outfit works for no reason. Why you still feel broke, even when you're saving money consistently and working or doing additional shit on the side to further your savings even further. It has been a fucked up day. And I think this is one of the core pillars of bootlegger fashion. The more simultaneously miserable and aspirational you are, the more this fit sense will make sense to you, and the better you'll be able to pull it off. So, if you are on this channel's frequency, this might be something you can do. And if you aren't on this channel's frequency, but the idea of this fit, because of course this is all imagination, we won't be using any visuals. If the mind's eye image of this fit fascinates you, but you're happy and you're successful, I don't know what to tell you. Go meet face to face with your limitations and internalize the fact there's some things you'll never overcome, and then come back and maybe you can put that shit on. Okay, bootlegger fashion. Now, in an effort, this has been going on for probably 2 years now. I've been trying to get into dressing well, and I started with the typical wannabe corporate thing, and that worked okay, but it didn't fit perfectly. Now, recently, I'd say in the last 6 months, I realized I live in a state in which formal wear or cowboy wear, cowboy cosplay can double as formal wear. And I'd say 1 to 2 fifths of the states in the United States operate this way. You won't see people walking around dressed like cowboys, but it's not uncommon or unacceptable for people to go into higher level meetings dressed like cowboys and it be weird. It's not weird for some reason. But even if it should be weird, it's an opportunity for you. And depending on where you are and the situation you're in, that might actually be a benefit, or more of a benefit, if you lean into the cowboy side of things. So I tried that, and it kind of worked. Same with the corporate thing. Kind of worked. Fulfilled the purpose it needed to fulfill, but it didn't click quite right. But accidentally, I stumbled into a style that's been around, I think has been around for a long time, hence why I'm calling it bootlegger fashion. It's a it's a fusion, and it works even though maybe it shouldn't. What I'm calling bootlegger fashion is suits and shit, corporate wear, mixed with cowboy wear. And there is already formal cowboy wear, but I'm talking more the rattier shit. And this is what I'm talking about with the philosophy behind it being integral, because describing the what is difficult. Imagine you're some shit shoveler in the 1920s. Ooh, that's weird to say. I gotta say the 1920s or 30s. But you're now involved in a spot of bootlegging. Another way to describe this style maybe would be Tennessee mob. This is the flavor is very southeastern rural. Now, you're a broke shit shoveler, but with this sketchy endeavor, you could potentially rise into a position you'd rather be in. But when you're styling this outfit, this sort of outfit, you need to remember the aspiring is the key. You have one foot in two worlds. One is poorer and sketchier, and that's the world you need to be in. And then there is the finer world, the world you want to be in. Another thing I learned about in trying to get better at fashion is you don't need super expensive clothes to accomplish the goal you want to achieve. Everything is silhouettes, but when I say silhouette, I don't mean it in the literal silhouette, the outline of you thing. I mean, if you want to be in a certain place, you need to look a certain way, but the means by which you look that certain way are looser than people would have you believe they are. As an example, you can dress formally without spending formal money as long as the requirements are being met in an acceptable fashion. And that's what this style is. It's a foundation of utility aspiring higher using what is just enough acceptable. So let's think about the foundations, or what you'll be left with if you need to shed the aspirational or higher part of your fit. You need to move a bunch of heavy shit, or the weather or situation is fucked up, you won't be staying clean. All the stuff an actual wealthy person would have someone hired to do. But you can't hire someone to do it. You have to do it yourself, although you're trying to reach a place in which you would hire somebody. Now, I'm still a fashion novice, so I see people say things, and maybe these things are wrong or narrow, but I like the way some of this stuff sounds and works, and I've incorporated some of it. One of the things I read was from a commenter on a video was, pants set the tone of an entire outfit, shoes add intrigue, and everything else is contrast. And that makes a lot of sense. So for your pants, you are picking something utility oriented. I mean, maybe you try to choose something that is, or could double as higher fashion, higher status, but the utility needs to be there and it needs to be unmistakable. So things like jeans. I was wearing Duluth fire hose pants for a long time just because of how sturdy they are, which is Duluth Trading Company, by the way. Duluth Trading Company. The fire hose pants. Good shit. Or milsurp pants, something like that. Because what you're communicating is utility first. Because utility is the thing you need. Again, maybe you make an effort for aesthetics, or you probably do make an effort for aesthetics, but the utility is what's important. And that's something I stumbled into because I like pants that work. And you never know when some bullshit will come up. And my shoes have always operated the exact same way. My entire life I've pretty much exclusively worn work boots. The pair I have right now, I think, is 7 years old. And I've always liked boots for the same reason. It's a utility thing. But even back then, I was thinking, I like the way boots like these look dressy or can work in dressier outfits for some reason. Maybe that's an American thing. Another point for American supremacy. Now, the intrigue boots add to this outfit is a restatement of utility. Oh, and if we're keeping track of what I use, it's the closest I can find is Wolverine floor hand Wellingtons, brown ones. I don't think that's the model I have, but again, these are older boots. You're using your shoes, your boots, to make a point. You come from a background of labor, or you need utility. Once again, aspirational. Your essence is climbing from a lower position. If it's prohibition and you're in rural Tennessee. Now, shirt, some kind of collared shirt made out of a rougher material. Nice and scratchy looking. Now, I like the way these look. I have a nice selection of cotton, linen, dress shirts. It's fortunate I like the way they look. But they're also affordable, and you can work in them. I mean, you probably shouldn't work in them, but you can, both because they're cheap and because the material lends itself to working. And they look better a little bit fucked up. I've always been fascinated. You look at old photos and you see people doing hard labor in what today would be considered dressy clothes. It's neat. So you put that on, you tuck it in. Oh, and I mean long sleeve button-ups, by the way. Leather belt. Nothing especially fancy about that. Although I've been thinking maybe about trying. I'm not super familiar with the gunfighter belt, modern gunfighter belt setup. As in, some people do the chest rigs, some people do the belt rigs, some people do both. I don't know much about belt rigs, but there's probably an option out there that would work for what we're doing. Because again, this is not strictly dressing up to try to look like this. This is something we have stumbled into and then written a narrative around to try to make sense of what's going on here and why it works and how to enjoy it better. Because having shit on your belt is cool. Now that is one thing, maybe we skipped over that. Occasionally I'll wear a leather belt bag with my tarot cards in them. You can do that too. I don't remember what the brand is. I don't think it matters because they're not super expensive, but bags that attach to your belt that you can put shit in. They look neat. They are functional. Other thing to keep on your belt is a knife of some kind. Fixed blade. Because we're Americans, weaponry contributes to our fits. Now, previously, I didn't realize you could buy whatever sort of knife and then also buy generic cheap leather belt holsters or sheaths. I didn't know those existed. I thought you had to get them custom made. You don't. As long as you have your measurements, you can get a generic sheath that fits pretty well. And I strongly recommend you do that because it's good to have a knife on you. It also looks cool. Got the Arthur Morgan, it's John Marston mica going on here. Now, for knives, I like Essie a whole lot. ESEE. Those knives are just about indestructible. But, it doesn't really matter. I like having an Essie knife because I use it, or the one I have I use, split firewood or make kindling. Well, no, I have split firewood with the not so little bastard, horse chopper. More often, it's making kindling. But you can use whatever. Cold Steel has a bunch of cool knives. I liked Cold Steel shit when I was a kid. I want a Cold Steel Kobun for the CIA bullshit, but I can't justify that purchase right now, even though it's not that bad. It feels more expensive than it is because I know I'd never use it for anything. The reason I can justify dropping money on an Essie knife is I know I'll use it. Once again, and this is the point, it's a style that happens to fit a lifestyle. Taking the customs by which you live and prettying them up, or auraing them up. It's weird to think aura is a word that's going out of style because now that it's been introduced to my life, I can't not use it. That's a word that, I mean, it has been used. Aura has been used the way it's used now for a long time, but it fits so much better with this modern flavor, and we're not giving it up. Anyway, while we're on your lower half, grab a gun. Now, because this is a fashion video and not a cosplaying or role-playing end-of-the-world scenario, I don't think if you're buying a gun for fashion, which is a great reason to buy a firearm, one of many great reasons to buy a firearm, you don't need an end-of-the-world gun. All you need is something that suits your carry. I want a Smith & Wesson Model 36, but those things are expensive for no reason. So I instead either, depending on how I'm feeling for the day, carry the Elite, but if that feels inconvenient for any reason, I have a two-tone Hellcat that I swapped for that shitty fucking Ruger EC9S. I hate that company. Now, I don't much like the Hellcat either, even though this is supposed to be a gun people jerk off. I can't hit anything with it outside maybe 10 yards, and even then it's inconsistent. But that's why you have that stupidly large magazine for such a small little gun. I need to find something better, smaller, but this is another situation. That's a lot of money to drop on something that I don't need. Most days I carry the Elite. And your selection of arms is essential to your fit. You need to put a lot of thought and money into this. This needs to be the most expensive part of your outfit. Because think back to these gangsters. All of them had their gun. I still simp for Dillinger's fully automatic 1911 and 38 special with the foregrip and the extended magazines. If you are a Tennessee mob prohibition bootlegger, odds are good one of the first things you'll spend your money on is an unreasonably cool firearm. For practical reasons, and because this is something that makes sense to invest in. So, your gun's important. Now, one of the most interesting little revelations I've had recently is the neckerchief over the tie. Now, I've been playing Red Dead 2 quite a lot, and I like that bandana Arthur has. So I bought a cheap 100% cotton black bandana off Amazon for about $5. It arrived, it was polyester, and I hate polyester more than anything. And I was upset, kind of pissed, but I still wanted a bandana, and I bought a silk bandana. Black silk bandana. A little pricey, I thought, for what it was, but it turned out not to be pricey at all. It was about around $30. Some of them are $34. I have a few of them now. Now, why am I telling you to buy one of these bandanas? Same reason or same philosophy behind every aspect of this outfit. Utility and aspiration. Now, of course, you can wear it as a bandana up on your face or hanging. Both those actually look pretty good. But oh, you can also headscarf it. The brand is called Wyoming Traders. That's the brand I use. They have a huge selection. And they have two sizes. I use the 34 and a half inch. You can also headscarf it if you choose to, but I have been thoroughly neckerchief pilled. Okay, you play Red Dead, you look at the way Hosea wears his bandana, with the triangular part over the back of his neck and then the two little nubbins wrapped and tied up front. That is one way you can wear your neckerchief. But the way I'm finding it fascinating to wear is instead of tying it off low like that, pulling it over once up higher and then letting both of them hang down the center of your chest like a tie. If you aren't wearing a vest, that looks a little goofy, but we'll assume you are wearing a vest later. Anyway, it's such a nice alternative to wearing a tie because you get the exact same outline of a tie without all the other bullshit of a tie, the stress of a tie, the discomfort of a tie. This is so comfortable and adjustable on the fly. And you also get this huge array of utility, not just in ways you can wear it, but also purpose, functionality. It's 100% silk, so it's warm. It also breathes, it deals with sweat well, it's good for cold weather and hot weather, protects your skin. They just look so good. They fill so many purposes, and in the tie replacement department, they look so good, they work so well. This is the United States. It's nice that even when you're trying to be formal, there is a way to be formal and even more fashionable while also being freer. I get compliments on my fucking neckerchiefs regularly. Okay, now vests. I don't have any special advice for vests or waistcoats. The only thing I could say is buy ones that don't have or have material all the way down the back. Because again, you're still thinking about utility and functionality. Maybe we will up our vest game in the future, but for now, that's all I have. But a vest is important. Oh, one thing I will say, be very careful if you're planning on doing any layering. Be very careful about buying a vest that is pre-accessorized. I have a hobbity looking vest, and I can't wear it with anything because the hobbitiness takes over any type of outfit I'm trying to put together. Just buy a normal shit vest, affordable vest. Okay, and now coats. For our purposes, I like tan tweed because it goes with anything. Although I think most sorts of tweeds would accomplish what we need them to. You're buying something that both won't look out of place in any setting and also can be run hard if needed. Tweed looks good a little ragged out. Because again, you want something that can dress up but also can work down when you need it to. And then hats. This is tricky because in most places or settings in the United States, the only acceptable hats are either ball caps or the I take pictures in front of graffiti artist hats. But there are places and circumstances in which you can pull off different sorts of hats. It also helps to build up your own muscles for wearing them. Anyway, I don't think any one particular style would or wouldn't work for this. Just look at old photographs and see what those logging company people or crate movers were wearing. And you'll get ideas. Now, for me, I'm finding a lot of pleasure in low brim hats. I don't know if there's an official term for it, but hats, nicer hats, whose brims are lower all the way around. Now, I like those both because they fit my personality and look good, but also because you can break eye contact with people. It's much easier to be in a crowded space when all you need to do to eliminate the possibility of eye contact is look down 1 inch. You'd be surprised how comforted you feel, how protected you feel, and how much less stressed you feel when the brim of your hat eliminates the possibility of eye contact with a lot of people. And I restate this or reiterate this, emphasize it, because I was not expecting it to feel that good. You get to look fashionably sketchy while also improving your mood in crowds. Strongly recommend it. Now, there are a number of different hats I have. I like hats. Jackson hats, Jaxon hats, are good introductory hats if you want to experiment. They're very functional, but the quality is good for what they are. Two Roads Hat Company is a hat company I'm finding I like quite a lot. The only problem is their hats are more strictly fashion. Very high quality, very good looking hats, but in my experience, not especially great working hats. Now, my favorite hat company is Bigalli. Maybe I'm mispronouncing that, but it's Bigalli. They make very high quality, sturdy, work appropriate, work functional hats for good prices usually. And they also have a rooster as their logo, and we love roosters here. The low brim hat I was talking about is actually a Bigalli hat. I believe it's called the Saggy Wool Distressed. That's the model. It looks a little cartoony, but if you remove the cartoony elements, it looks pretty good, and it is shockingly functional for what you'd think it would be. And initially I chose that hat because it reminds me of the worn cavalry hat Arthur Morgan wears or can wear in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, other accessorizing. Rings are a good idea. Necklaces, too. The necklace is not like you're going to wear them over all your shit, but I've found having just the smallest amount of necklace appearing on your neck underneath your clothes, for some reason that's a really good effect. And you might be thinking, if we're doing this bootlegger thing or this aspirational thing, well, no, if we talk about it in an aspirational sense, it makes perfect sense. But the utility, there's no utility in this, it's kind of tacky. Exactly. You don't know how to be tastefully fashionable. So, you might not know the correct silk-lined suit to wear, but you do know wearing a ring flexes a little bit of wealth, what little wealth you have. So, it's a... You mentioned Tennessee, that maybe a Memphis thing, a way to describe it. We're all actually secretly one culture. Flex what you have. As far back as you can remember, you always wanted to be a gangster. I wear 3 rings, and I get compliments on them. Now, I also do I've been doing the one earring thing again. I haven't done that in 6 years, but it adds that additional little... Weird to use the word bling unironically, but bling in this otherwise kind of ratty, uppity outfit. Oh, and gloves too. I always carry gloves around, but today as I'm sitting here having this crisis day and putting on clothes and trying to dissociate into a Faulkner novel, I tried using one of my nicer pairs of gloves as a pocket square, and it didn't look half bad. Now, it looked a lot better when I migrated the gloves into one of the lower pockets, but that's still a surprisingly cool look that still serves a purpose. You always need gloves. And another one, I didn't realize carabiners were fashionable. I thought I was doing some dad shit walking around with a carabiner, but multi-tool, keys, it's nice, and I like the jingliness to it. The same way Ayn Rand bugs me. It bugs me that she bugs me. It bugs me that she is an obnoxious person, or she was an obnoxious person in real life. Cucked her husband, made him walk around with a bell, so he like wearing a bell like a cat, so he wouldn't disturb her or surprise her while she was writing, while she was fucking one of his friends. Wretched woman. Anyway, my carabiner with my keys and other shit, little knife, little additional knife, little box opener, multi-tool, all that jazz. They jingle. I don't have spurs, I have a carabiner with shit on it that jingles and jangles. And I like it because it allows, I mean, again, it's the same sort of idea. I don't like sneaking up on people because I move quietly for some reason, and it bugs people, so it defeats that possibility. And I don't like being snuck up on, even though we've read the cards and we've determined I'll die to 8 shots in the back. Okay, that's the entire outfit, and my throat is dry, and I probably should drink something. But the entire reason I'm talking about this, the reason oh, no, that's the other thing. We didn't go over the color scheme. I suppose anything could work for you. For me, I like earth tones or nature tones, but for me there's a scale, right? So on one side there is the browns and the greens and the tans. On the other side is the grays and the blacks and the blues. And you can interweave them, but you need to be aware of what's going on here. As in, it's hard to explain. They're like threads. And you can do both, but you can't try to mix them straight. As in, I wouldn't put a blue with a tan and a brown, for instance, without some gray in there. Same with the greens. You don't want to be wearing the black, blue, gray fit and then just have some green without some brown or tan also. Earth tones, night tones, blending in to the background. You are being showy, but you're also whispering. You're sketchy. Which, by the way, I don't have an especially high opinion of my face or my body. On a good day, I would put myself in the funny-looking, cute category. But on a bad day, I'm just grotesque. But this is one of the nice things about being a man. If you are ugly or you consider yourself ugly, you can actually make that work in your favor as a dude by leaning into sketchiness. The trick is to look sketchy in an intriguing or showy fashion, as in you look sketchy but obviously you aren't because of how much care you're putting into presentability, versus leaning into sketchiness and looking like a meth addict or something. You don't want to go that direction. Being ugly isn't the end of the world if you're a dude, if you know how to wear it. In fact, it can be a great boon to you if looking scary is your goal. It's all about presentation. Now again, or getting back to what we diverted from, we're making this video talking about this both because I'm starting to have more fun with fashion, realizing how much shit you can do if you have philosophy behind what you do and know how to play it. But also, I think this particular style, this bootlegger, Tennessee mob, there's something in it that speaks to my place in life, and I'm guessing many of yours. This dreadful aspiring. I'm sure fashion people already know this, but I've only discovered it in the last couple years and I'm enjoying it so much. Is the way your clothes help you get into a mood or help you communicate a mood you feel. And the mood we feel is something Faulknerian. I recommend you read Light in August by Faulkner, and you'll know what we're feeling. If you got any racial shit in your background, you'll probably like that a lot. It's my favorite book, or one of my favorite books by him. It's the dread of the United States. It's the dream of the United States. And people, I think the soul of the United States is in the South, particularly the Southeast. I don't have the words. I hope you can feel what I'm trying to communicate to you here. We're in a circle of hell, one body among piles of sinners, all climbing towards some indeterminate peak you can't see, but you know is there. And you'll probably never get there, but you can at least take pleasure in the effort. That's what this outfit is, that's what this style is in my mind. That's what our heritage is, that's what our present is. I hope that's what our future will be. Maybe it'll be better. I hope we have a future. I don't know how I feel. I have to wear it. And what are you doing when you're wearing it? You are trying to be more than you are. And what you are is a laborer. And not a lot. But hey, at least you're aspiring. You haven't completely given up and said fuck everything. There are little victories you can win. There is shit you can pull. There is shit that you can got on. We'll cut it here because I'm not getting it. But I feel like we're on the cusp of saying what we want to say. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.